I'm going to record it. All right, so today's lesson, I called it Area of a Circle Part 2. We're going to be finding the area of partial circles, so a circle that's not a whole circle. Our first objective is to find the area of a quarter or semicircle. So a quarter of a circle would be a fourth of a circle. A semicircle is the name for a half circle. And number 2 actually doesn't necessarily deal with partial circles. It's just a little more advanced topic in finding area. It's if someone tells you the circumference of the circle, can you then find the area of a circle? So we'll be looking at that for objective 2. All right, objective 1, to find the area of a semicircle, which is half a circle, you're going to use the formula for the area of a circle, and what do you think you're going to do with it? Irene?
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2. So you're going to just divide your answer by 2. So you're finding the area of the whole circle and cutting it in half. You can also find the circumference this way, because when you have a half circle, technically you're not finding the circumference. You should actually call it, I think it's called the arc length, because you're not finding the whole distance around, you're not finding this piece, you're only finding the circular part. So it's half of the circumference gives you what's called the arc length. Okay, so let's take a look at how this works. So in the first semicircle that we're given, what part of the circle is 5 millimeters? What part is this showing you? Jake?
That would be the radius.
It would be the radius because it's a line from the center of the circle to the outside edge of the circle. And on your paper, it actually looks like a half circle and not this. This really looks messed up how it's distorted. So this gives us the radius, which is 5 millimeters. So if we want to find the area of the circle, Taryn, what do we do? Multiply what by 2? Not multiply by 2. Anyone help her out? What do we do with the radius? Sky?
Multiply by itself.
Good, multiply it by itself. So we need to do 5 times 5, which is a very different answer than 5 times 2, and then times pi. We end up with 78.5 square millimeters. So if we were finding the area of the whole circle, it would be 78.5 square millimeters. Since we only have half of the circle, we're going to divide 78.5 by 2, and we get 39.3 square millimeters. Any questions about that one? Okay, next one. Braden, what part of the circle is 19 millimeters? What part of the circle is this segment that's 19 millimeters?
Circumference.
No, it's not. It's circumference. It's just this piece right here. What part of the circle would that be? What's that? Not quite. Ross?
Diameter.
This would be the diameter of the circle. If this were a whole circle, if we had the whole thing.
That's kind of hard to do that.
Yeah, it's hard, especially since it's distorted. But if this were a whole circle, pretend it looks better than that. This is a line right across the center of the circle. So this is its diameter. So the diameter is 19 millimeters. Braden, what would the radius of the circle be? What would the radius of the circle be? If the diameter is 19 millimeters, how are the diameter and the radius of the circle related? Got radius is half of the diameter, so what would the radius be? No, the radius is smaller than the diameter. The radius, you just said it's half of the diameter. What's half of 19? You did 19 times 2. The radius is smaller. The radius is half of the diameter. So we can take the radius and multiply it times 2 to get the diameter. So what do we have to do to the diameter to get the radius? Divide by 2. What do you get when you do 19 divided by 2? 9.5. So the radius is 9.5 millimeters. Jake?
Would you call this the area, or would you call it arc length?
The arc length is when you're finding circumference, when you're finding halfway around the
okay.
circle. Yeah.
So we're finding.
We're finding the area. We're finding the area. Okay. Katie, how would we find the area then of this circle? Okay. We got the radius. We need to find the area of the circle. How do we find the area?
You would square the radius.
Square the radius. Good.
And you would
Oh, I guess it's better than something. Good. Multiply it by pi. So if that were the whole circle, the area of that circle would be 283.385 square millimeters. Now, when you're rounding, the directions say to round to the nearest tenth. Often, they don't here specifically. But if it's telling you to round to the nearest tenth, you don't want to round everything to the nearest tenth, otherwise you might end up with a different answer. You want to try to keep your answer as much as you can. You can just keep that on your calculator and round only at the end. So if it's a really long number, maybe round it to the thousandths place or something, but you don't want to round until you get to the end. So this is the area of the whole circle. To find the area of half the circle, you take this number and you do what? Divide by 2 to get 141.7 square millimeters. Okay, any questions about that? I feel like there might be a page missing from your notes. Yeah, apparently I must have copied this wrong because you don't have this part. So if you want to copy this down on the bottom, there's a lot of blank space on your notes. We're missing probably 3 slides.
Can we just take a picture of it?
Yes, I will give you permission to take your phones out and take a picture of this slide since this is missing.
Then I can just write it.
So you can wait till you might want to wait till I write the notes on it, and then you'll have the notes. All right, so to find the area of a quarter circle, which I don't have my notes written either, which is 1/4 of a circle, you're going to use the area formula, and what do you suppose you're going to do? If you're finding the area of a fourth, Devin, divide by 4. And you can also find the circumference. I really shouldn't have said circumference. I really should have said the arc length, because you can't really find the circumference because you're not going the whole way around the circle. But you can find the circumference, divide it by 4 to find the arc length, which is that part of the outside of the circle. Jake?
2 questions. Could you divide by 2 and then divide by 2 again?
Yep.
All right.
Dividing by 2 and then dividing by 2
Okay.
is
And then another question.
yes.
Do Texas Instruments take pictures?
He's trying to zoom in with the
No.
calculator.
They do not. Okay.
I thought, but
So let's take a look at this first one. Jake, you're actually up. What part of the circle is this 11 inches?
Radius?
It would be the radius, because this would be the center of our circle. If we could imagine the whole circle. That one's not too bad. This would be a line from the center of the circle to an outside edge. So the radius of that circle is 11 inches. Devin, how do we find the area?
Wait.
What's the formula for area of a circle? First, what's the formula we did on Friday for area of a circle?
I don't know.
Okay, can someone remind him what the formula is? Write it down this time, Devin. Or Violet, I mean. Okay, radius squared times pi. Guys, if you don't know this formula, write it down on your paper. It's area equals pi times the radius squared. Okay? So, using that formula, Devin, what do I do?
Multiply
11 times 11, and then what?
multiply 3.94.
Good, by 3.14. I don't have that on my notes, so I have the wrong notes. You want to do it on your calculator and tell me what you get?
379.94.
Okay, 379.94 square inches. That would be the area of the entire circle. Grace, what do we do to find the area of the piece that we want?
Divide your answer by 4.
Good. Divide this by 4. So we take 379.94 divided by 4. And what do we get when we do that?
$94.495 if you're rounding to the nearest
Let's round to the nearest. What does it come out to?
94.985.
Okay, so it comes out to 95.0 square inches. All right, good. Okay, next circle. Carly, what piece of the circle is shown there? The radius. The radius is 15 feet. Carly, how do I turn that into the area of the circle?
Multiply 15 by 15, and then multiply by I, divide by 4.
Okay, so we could do it all in one formula. We could just divide by 4 right from the start. Go ahead and do that, Carly. Tell us what you get. So the area would be, some of the rest if you do it also as a backup, so we have confirmation that her answer's
I
correct.
got 176.6.
176.6 square feet. Do you all agree with that? Those of you who did it? Is that what you got? Okay. Any questions about this? Go ahead and snap a picture of it if you want to. I'll step out of the way so I'm not in your picture. No photo bombing.
That's a terrible picture.
All right. All right, the next slide. Guys, stop. Next slide is a you try. So I want you to find the area and circumference of these circles. Go ahead and just do it on the bottom of your notes. You have plenty of space to do this, and then we'll talk about it. All right, let's go over these. Pat, what did you get for the area of the first one?
Area?
Yeah.
Oh, area. I got it. I don't know what I did. I got 110 feet. I don't know how.
110 feet. Maybe you were finding the
Yeah.
arc length. Okay, so let's see. So you got what?
110 feet. I don't know how.
Anybody else get that?
I have no idea.
Okay, so let's start with this arc length. Arc length. How would you find the arc length? What would you do?
Here.
Yeah, calculator's helpful.
That's probably why.
Arc length, we have to find the circumference. So what is the whole circumference? If that were a whole circle, did anyone find what the whole circumference would be? Sky?
Would be 314.
No, the whole circumference, not the whole area. We're doing circumference.
Oh.
We switched to circumference.
I didn't.
Did you get that one?
I didn't do that.
Violet? Uh-huh. Okay, so the circumference of the whole circle, we'll put the word whole there, would be 62.8. So if we want to find just this part, what do we need to do to the 62.8? Divide it by 4. And what do you get when you do that?
15.6.
Good. So the arc length is 15.7 feet. If we wanted to find the whole distance around the circle, how would we do that? It's kind of a different question. If we wanted to find the perimeter, we'd call it the perimeter, not the circumference of this circle, what would we do? Jake?
Well, I think you would find the circumference and then divide it by 4, right?
Well, we did that to find the arc length, so that we know this brown part from here to here. This is 15.7 feet, but what if we wanted to find the whole distance around?
Well, the two angles, 10 that make up the right angle are equal, right?
Yeah,
So if you found the arc length, and you already know those two, then you can
yeah, we would just add them all together. So we'd have 15.7 plus 10 plus another 10, so we would have 35.7 feet for the perimeter. All right, Zoe, did you find the area of that quarter circle?
I'm right on. Once you got 62.
That's for the circumference. Now we're back to area. Sorry, we did it out of order. So the area of the circle, did you find that? Okay, what did you get? 314 would be the area of the whole circle. So the area of the whole circle would be 314 square feet. So how do I find this is just a quarter circle? No, yeah.
110.
You would do 10 times 3.14. That's how you got your area. That's correct. But this is the area if we had the whole circle. That's the area of the whole circle. We only need the area of a quarter of a circle. So what do we do to the answer we got over here? Divide by 4. What do you get when you divide by 4? Yep, that's it. 78.5 square feet. I prefer that you do it to the nearest tenth, but it's okay. It's not wrong. I didn't specify up here. All right, next one. Let's start with the area. We won't do this one out of order. Riley, did you get the area of this?
Yeah.
Good. The area? Well, that would be the area of the whole circle. If we found the area of the whole circle, it would be 28.26 square millimeters. How much of a circle is this? Half. So what do we need to do to this number? Good. And what do we get when we do that? Good. 14.13 square millimeters. If you round to the nearest tenth, it would be 14.1. Okay, if we wanted to find the arc length, just this part, what would the arc length be? Jimmy? No. Eli? 9.4. Good. 9.4 millimeters. So the arc length would be 9.4 millimeters. If we find the circumference of a circle with a diameter of 6 millimeters, we end up with a circumference of 18.84 millimeters. Dividing that by 2 gives us 9.4 millimeters. Yes, Jake?
So what's the difference between the area whole and the area?
This is the area of the piece that we're looking at.
Okay, yeah.
This is, if we found the area of the whole circle, if we expanded this to be the whole circle, that's what this is up here. This is the answer to the problem because you're finding the area of the semicircle, not the area of the whole circle. Okay, any questions about this? Okay. The next. Not on this. Actually, it's not on Friday's quiz. This will be on Get More Math today, but it's not on Friday's quiz. All right. This is finding the area of a circle if we're given the circumference. You do not have this page, so when we're finished filling in the notes on this page, I again will allow you to snap a picture. I'll also make the notes available to you on Canvas, so you'll have them by the end of the day. All right, I want you to think for a minute, and you can turn around and talk to your partner. A circle has a circumference of 10 pi. What is its area? So I want you to take a couple minutes and think about how would you figure out the area if all you know is the circumference? All right, let's talk about your ideas. So circle has a circumference of 10 pi, which is an exact circumference. What is its area? Grace, what do you think?
If you know that the circumference is the diameter times pi, you can divide the diameter by 2. And for this situation, you get 5 as the radius. So then you get 5 times 5 equals 25, and then 25 times 3.14 equals 78.5.
Okay, excellent, well done. So let's do that in slow motion. So a circle has a circumference of 10 pi. We know that the circumference is pi times the diameter. So pi is the same in both of these equations. The diameter then has to be 10. So the diameter of this circle is 10. If the diameter is 10, the radius is half of the diameter, so the radius is 5. And the radius is what we need to know for the area formula, which is pi times the radius squared. So we would square the radius, 5 times 5, multiply times pi, and we get, what's it, 78.12, right? No, 78.5. 78.5. It doesn't tell us what the units are, so we'll just say units squared. There's a funky N there. So 78.5 square units. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. Number 2 says the circle has a circumference of 16 pi. So if the circumference is 16 pi, read, what does the diameter have to be? Yeah, for this second one, what would the diameter be? 16. Yeah, the diameter is just, it's pi times the diameter, so the diameter is 16. What is the radius of that circle? Ailey? 8. Okay, so now we have the radius. Reagan, how do we find the area?
You do 8 times 8 times pi.
Good. 8 times 8 times pi. We could give an exact area of 64 pi or an approximate area of 25.1 square units. Okay, any questions about either of those? Jake?
Could you solve it if you just knew the solution to the circumference?
Yeah, we're going to do that on the next one. Yep. Grace?
How'd you get 25.1? Because I did this. Isn't 8 times 64?
Oh, I don't know where I got that. That's completely wrong. It's 64 times pi. I have no idea where I came up with that number. Let's see here. See what I did. Oh, I didn't type in the second. Okay. It's 8 times 8 times 64. I just need to take that 25, 12 times 8 again. It should be 200.96. I should have caught that. That's pretty obvious. 200.96 square units. Because 8 times 8 is 64, so no way it can be less than that. I just did one of the 8s, looks like. All right, any other questions about that one? Okay, let's look at this last part. Circle has a circumference of 26. What is its area? So in this case, we're given an approximate circumference. We don't have pi in the answer, so how do we pull the diameter out of the circumference? Violet?
Would you divide 26 by 5?
You would. You would divide by pi. So if the circumference equals pi times the diameter, if we wanted to solve, remember pi is a number, so let's actually change it to a number. Let's say circumference equals 3.14 d. If we wanted to change this to an equation to solve for d, we could divide both sides by 3.14. So the diameter is the circumference divided by 3.14, which is what we did the first day. Remember when we measured the circles and you measured the circumference and you measured the diameter and you did circumference divided by diameter to come up with pi? We're doing the reverse of that, doing circumference divided by pi to come up with the diameter. So if we take 26 and we divide by pi, or the approximation of pi, we get that the diameter is about 8.2803. I'm going to take it out to a lot of decimal places so that when I round to the nearest tenth at the end, it's accurate. If the diameter is 8.2803, Ross, what do I do to find the radius? Okay. And when I divide it by 2, I get 4.1401. Now, McKenna, what do I do to find the area?
Do 4.1401 times 4.1401.
Okay. And then times pi. Good. So I'm going to square this and then multiply times pi, and I get area equals 53.8. I'll just put a unit squared. All right, any questions? All right, the next slide you do have, so go ahead and take a picture of this slide if you want to. And then the next slide I would like you to try.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so a circle that has a circumference of 8 pi. Irene, what is its area?
50.2 units squared.
Okay, good. 50.2. We'll just say u squared for units. I did not specify on this one. Okay, any questions about number 1? Okay, number 2, Violet. What's the area of that circle?
Can I give you a button?
Good, 314. We'll just say u squared. Okay, how about number 3, Eve?
314 units squared.
No, it's not 314. Devin? It's 316 square units. Let's take a look at that one. If the circumference is 63, 63 divided by pi will give us the diameter. We get a diameter of 20.0639. Now this may be a case, if you got 314, it's because you rounded this to 20. So you rounded too early in the process, because if you round it to 20, then we have the same problem as number 2, and it's not quite the same. It makes a big difference in the end of 2 wholes if you round it too soon. So I kept my number pretty long, 20.0639. In fact, you can just leave that on your calculator. Then on your calculator, you hit divided by 2, and then you know that the radius is 10.032. Square that, multiply by 3.14, and you'll get 316. Yes?
Is it okay if I got 3.2?
You probably rounded a little less than what I did too.
Like the front, I had like 315, 9, 8,
Yeah, you rounded somewhere along the line when you didn't need to. Let me show you how I do this on the calculator. I need to pull up the calculator on here. Let's see. So that you don't have to actually write all this stuff down, here's what you do. You do 63 divided by 3.14. This is what you get. You just leave that in your calculator and you hit divided by 2. Now you have the whole 10.031847. This calculator, yes, it has a squared. See my little x squared there? I'm going to square that number, I think.
Nope.
No? There it is. It squared it. Okay, so it's 100.637958 times pi gives me 316.003188. So that's the most accurate if you just don't take any of the numbers out of your calculator. If you do need to and you need to write them down, just write down lots of digits. All right, number 4, the challenge. Did anybody figure this out? Katie?
I did it a different way than I used to get the formula for the other one. So I multiplied 9 by 4 because the formula I used for the other one. And I got 36. And I know that 6 times 6 equals 36. So that's
So you got,
I got 6 times 30.
tell me how you did that again?
So the formula I used for the other ones is c squared divided by 4.
Where did you come up with that? Ah, so she found a formula on the internet. Yes, you could come up with a formula, but you won't be given that formula. You can turn anything into a formula, but you won't have that formula on the PFSA. But that was smart. It's always good to Google things and look things up. I'm not opposed to that at all. Haley?
What I did was I divided 9 by 3 because it would have been squared.
Okay, so if we're thinking, if the area is 9 pi, we know that area is pi times the radius squared. So 9 has to be r squared. So then, Ailey said she divided it by 9, so, or divided it by 3, so you have to think, what number times itself would equal 9? And if it doesn't automatically come to you, you can just try different numbers. Like you could do 2 times 2, that's not 9. Then you move on to 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So if the area is 9 pi, the radius has to be 3. And then from that radius, we can find the circumference, which is what?
You would multiply it by 3 and
Okay, good. 3 times 2 would give us the diameter, so the diameter is 6, and then the circumference is just 6 pi. Or, if you multiply it through, it's approximately equal to 18.8 square units. Not square units, just units. Not square for circumference. Jake?
What's the formula for this?
There's no, Katie found a formula on the internet. We could turn this into a formula. I'm not going to do that because you will not remember the formula. It's not helpful. What's helpful is thinking we know the formula for area, pi times the radius squared. So if this is 9 pi, this radius squared part must be 9.
So it's kind of like just a guessing game, like you just walk
It's not a guessing game at all. If this were not an easy number to figure out, I could just use the square root button on the calculator to figure it out. So say this said 10 pi. 10 doesn't have an actual square root, a whole number square root, but I can take the square root of 10, which is 3.162278, probably longer than that, and then I can use that to find the circumference.
Okay, what's the square root? What is one thing?
It looks like this. You won't have any problems like number 4 on your test. There may be one on the task cards though, that's like that.